I know we want to stay in the moment. My dad doesn't like when we talk about hypotheticals and in the future, but he's not on the show today. It's my show. So I've look. You'd be lying if you would say that your mind hasn't at least gone to this question, because Jimmy's a starter, Trey's hurt. The season is interesting, but what's going to go on next year? Who will be the starting quarterback next year for the 49ers? Jose?
It's still going to be Trey, dude. It has to be Trey. But I think where it gets interesting now is if we see the Jimmy that we saw in this last game, and it's a huge if, because that's what makes Jimmy the most ultimate average player. Is he'll have those moments, and then he'll completely flip it like the next game or two or whatever. And we know the whole spiel. But if he has a handful more games like that, and when they get to the playoffs, he shows up in that way and actually does something, even if they don't get to the Super Bowl.
It could be him.
We have a huge debate on our hands now. And the 49ers, when they got pissy last training camp about all the questions about Trey Lance and everything, the competition, and then it happened again this year, it's going to be one-upped again next year. And I'm all for it because it's fun. It's funny to talk about. And I mean, look, they created it. They shouldn't get mad at you, at anybody, at fan, whatever, because you're creating it. You brought him back this year. You drafted Trey last year, and now it's like, well, now what? Now what?
Okay, let's go through it systematically together. There is a possibility that the starting quarterback next year is Jimmy Garoppolo. It seems to me for that to happen, he would have to really play well in the playoffs and or win the Super Bowl. If he does that, the Niners would have to give him another huge contract, and I'm sure he'd love to have it. Although it's a strained relationship between them, and if multiple teams are offering him a lot of money, then who knows? But come on, I don't really see that happening. So what's more likely is he does a repeat, plays well in the regular season, gets to the playoffs, kind of starts struggling, and they don't make it all the way, in which case I don't see him coming back because I don't think he wants to be here. I think he wants to leave, and I think the Niners want to replace him. So let's go to Trey.
It's a lot spicy.
Let's go to Trey. Jimmy leaves. The Niners get close but don't make it all the way, hypothetically. Jimmy leaves. Trey. We're back to Trey. Trey is now in a position where he hasn't played in 3 years, coming off a serious injury, and this team is still knocking on the door. It's not that simple because he hasn't spent any time developing in the ways he needs to develop. He may not be ready, quote unquote. He missed a precious year. It's possible the answer is neither of these two guys. Okay, so let's explore that. Who are some guys who could unseat Trey and Jimmy? You'd have to have someone legit. One name that pops into my mind is Tom Brady. Okay, so let's talk about Tom Brady. He was supposed to retire this year, didn't. Now he's going to potentially have a divorce. It seems like he could play football as long as he wants now. He'll be a free agent next year. He already expressed the desire to come back to the Bay where he grew up. And the Niners really messed up. And they know it. You think they'll make that mistake twice? I think there is a legit possibility that Tom Brady is a starting quarterback here next year. I do. Tom. And that way you could get look, hey, Trey Lance, nothing against you, but now Tom's the starter for year to year, and you still need some time to learn, and you can learn from Tom as opposed to Jimmy, and I don't see how anyone could complain about that. Now here's another scenario that's not nearly as exciting. Let's say Tom Brady does retire and doesn't want to go past 45.
Goes to Miami, becomes owner.
Yeah, or whatever, something like that. Kyle could turn to Kirk Cousins. And say, look, let's say Kyle doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, and management's like, look, dude, you're 7. You're going to have to win the Super Bowl this year. And he's like, okay, well, if you're going to up the ante on me, you got to give me the quarterback I've wanted the entire time. I've always wanted this guy. And, so that's another guy. And then possibly Aaron Rodgers if he opts out. Although Aaron Rodgers and Kyle Shanahan trying to coexist and share power is just, I can't see that happening. But those are 3 names. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the most entertainable one would be the Brady one because they're not trading for. I don't even think Kirk's gonna be a free agent, so I don't think.
If they got Kirk, do you understand how pissed like that? It'd be one thing if the Niners had traded for Mac Jones, but trading for Kirk Cousins and potentially trading Trey Lance to get him would. I think the fan. I don't think Jed York would let it happen because the fans would hate it universally.
Yeah,
universally they hate it.
You would only be able to work on a free agency invitation and signing.
Right.
To Thomas Brady. That would be the only way that work. And so far, he's playing good again this year.
It seems like the fan base vetoed Mac Jones, so they could probably veto Kirk Cousins too. But no one's going to veto Tom Brady. I wouldn't either. I like Trey a lot, but dude, it's Tom Brady. Go get that 6th ring. Are you kidding? They should have had him 3 years ago. 2 years ago.
I think, look, in terms of options, I think that's the only way you're going to go if we're not looking at neither. Because other than that, I thought the only thing that would be the way it's looking is Jimmy goes wherever the hell he's going to go in the offseason. You go with Trey, and then you get Matt Ryan as your backup next year because he's backup talent. He's backup caliber now. He's not a starter in this league anymore. Yeah. So, but in terms of like the GOAT, that would be the only option I would see. And I did think about that, or I thought about it another time too, because now that the divorce is gone, it's like, look, his future is endless now. So unless he's going back to reinvigorate himself with the Dolphins to go back over there. But the way, Tua's going, he's going to go with Mike McDaniels. Yeah. That's probably like kind of down the river now at that point. So I think that 49ers one would be the one. He's going to get a firsthand look at what that team is. If the defense puts the clamps on him in 2 months, a month, whatever, then it's going to be in his mind. Don't think it won't be in his mind.
If Kyle wins the Super Bowl this year, he can do whatever he wants. He could start Trey. He could start Jimmy. He could do whatever he wants. He'll have a job for life with the 49ers. But if he doesn't, I know people say he has job security, but look around the league. He's in year 6. Every coach who's in year 7 or higher has won a Super Bowl. Every single one. And there's another coach who's in year 6 right now. It's Sean McDermott. Don't kid yourself and think that he's not under pressure. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year with Buffalo, people are going to be looking at him like, dude, what happened? Again? Because they didn't even win a playoff game last year. So he has pressure too, and he has a great quarterback. People start saying, maybe we need to get an offensive coach. So Kyle, McDermott, they know the deal. And McDermott has Josh Allen to lean on. Kyle has Trey, who has played nothing in the last 3 years. That's scary. It's scary. So Tom Brady, come save my job. It just can't be Kirk Cousins. Can't be Kirk. I know. I'm sorry. If Kyle wants to work with Kirk Cousins, it has to happen on another franchise, not here. You guys got to go start over somewhere else.
I wish you had brought up that picture where they're both looking at each other all friendly and just pulled it up right now. That would have been great. Instead of saying, like, here's the other person. Click.
Yeah.
That would have been
great. Big Tone 707 says, I hope he didn't say Vernon Davis was a better route runner. Quit talking about football now. Yeah, he was a great athlete who could only run straight. No, he said he rounded off his routes. That's true. He said it. James Hennessy.
I just think he's a better overall receiver. I would take him in the receiver as a heartbeat. I think anyone would. And he's still not a better overall 49ers tight end all time yet.
All I'm going to say is Vernon Davis took over playoff games. George Kittle has never had a good playoff game. Not once.
Look, all the intangibles, the blocking and stuff like that, like, are you making an impact in your offense? And overall,
Vernon could block
points. It's great if he blocks and contributes to that, but there's other players blocking too. It's not just Kittle.
Vernon could block. Vernon just didn't get as much fanfare about it. He just didn't have Pro Football Focus making a big deal, giving him a number value. Vernon was super duper strong. I mean, everything Kittle was as an athlete, Vernon was that plus. I'm sorry. James Hennessy says, don't make the Joe Flacco mistake the Ravens did. Yeah, like even if Jimmy Garoppolo wins the Super Bowl, that doesn't mean you give him the contract. Like that's what the Ravens did, and it set him back for years. All that means if they win the Super Bowl with Kyle is that he gets another extension, he has job security, and really that might even be good for Trey because his coach can do whatever he wants. His coach can say he has no pressure.
He might feel satisfied he finally got one, so it's like now he feels like, okay, I finally got one, so now I can feel a little more patience because he's in a rush to win one.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Rodgers says Cali Tremors. I mean, possible. They've been trying to work that out, but they haven't been able to. Varg, thank you very much. All right, we got one more before my internet craps out. And I got to go to the front desk and be like, yo, how do I get the fast? Because when you go to the Marriott's, they're like, if you want fast, you got to pay $5. I'm like, yeah, I want the fast, $5. So I only got it on my phone. What? It's whack. They should be able to do that from the front desk, right? Hey, because you got 2 devices in here. See, look, it happened again.
I was going to say, I think they hear you talking, and they did that.
They're like, oh, look, he's talking shit. All right, here we go.
Click.
Yeah.
You got a problem, buddy?